I think in business and life, when you are in those times where you feel a lot of force and you're either resisting something or you're trying to force something to happen on a certain timeline or a certain way you think it should be, it is such an invitation to pause and go, how do I remove the resistance? This is not to be confused with everything should be easy. And life is supposed to be easy and business is supposed to be easy and you don't have to work hard. Like, I'm still working hard, but I don't resist things anymore. Embodied CEOs don't chase trends. They pave the way. They lead from within, moved by purpose, unshaken by noise. When you are the source, you do not need permission. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast, but in the new studio. First podcast recorded in the new studio. I am obsessed. First of all, this is like majority natural light. I have one light behind there. I don't even need it. This is so much natural light. I put the behind the scenes of the new studio and Embodied headquarters on my Instagram. I wish I could like show you it right now on the camera. It is amazing. I am so excited. I am like, it just fell into place, but it is like, I was so picky about this place. It had to be the right vibe. I looked at a lot of more like co-working, corporate feel places, and I was just like, it's not it. This is an old building with real hardwood floors with like 5 windows. I'm right downtown Austin, and so the options for coffee shops and restaurants and literally everything is all right here. I'm 10 minutes from my gym, straight shot down. It's so great. I'm so grateful, so excited. And I figured this episode I would just kind of do a chat because there's a couple of things I want to talk about. But I haven't actually recorded in a few weeks. And so let's do a catch up. So first I wanted to kind of share a few takeaways and just like thoughts on the studio. And some lessons behind this that I shared on my Instagram and a lot of people really loved. First of all, I went to Cody Sanchez's headquarters in the end of last year. And I went to the headquarters and I saw her, her setup and her team working together in the collaboration. And I was like, I want that. I want more in-person collaboration with my team. And so when I was at this mastermind event where we went to Cody Sanchez's, we were at a dinner and I said, we did this thing where we said like our future version. We meet up again in July. And I said, one of my big things was I will have the start of the Embodied headquarters. I'm not going to move my entire team in person, mostly because I have an incredible team right now and I'm not going to like move everybody to in person. However, there's some of the roles that we're hiring for right now that are going to be in person. And one of them is like my right hand, kind of like future COO, not quite a COO role. And I'm so pumped to have that be an in-person collaborative role. So anyways, I went to the headquarters and I was like, I want this. I want this level of collaboration. I want to have a headquarters. I want to have a spot where team could meet and work, where I can record content. It can be the podcast studio plus content recording, or I could fly clients in for VIP days, where when I do my live events, there could be an opportunity for like a small group, like so many things. And I put that out there and I said, by July, I will have, that was my big thing. I'll have my in-person start of Embodied headquarters. And I also will have massively upped my content game. And so it's been really cool because this month, everything kind of came together in those goals that I have been working on, where I hired a full-time content support in Austin, which is same thing, where a big goal of mine, and the in-person collaboration has been so incredible. So now we're testing out, and I've shared this on the podcast, and I'm gonna share the results, and I'm gonna share kind of the behind the scenes. But we're doing 2 times a day posts right now, and I've dedicated a full day of the week to content. So social content, podcast recording, and it probably will have to be a little bit more than a day once I bring interviews back in, which is soon, and also like collaboration. So she'll sort of interview me, but through conversations, we're able to chat and she pulls that into content. And so those 2 things were like my big focus, and I got to see them come to fruition in the last week. I think it's a lesson, and I want to be an example, but it's also a reminder that the process is so simple, but we lose track of this, where you say, here's the dream, here's the vision. And that's what I did at the end of last year. I said, here's the vision. The vision is I want a headquarters. I want an in-person. I am so craving that level of collaboration with team and then clients. And I want to have a space. And I had like, obviously I didn't envision this exact space, but I was like, it has to be these things. It has to check these boxes. It has to be vibey. It can't be corporate-y. It's got to be downtown. It's got to be close to my gym. Like I had the, literally my gym is a big part of it. I had these boxes, right? And I didn't settle for anything less. And it actually took longer. I was supposed to move out of my podcast studio, so we extended it like two and a half months. And thankfully they let me stay in the other one, but it took longer. But ultimately I got what my vision was. And then I also said media, content and media is going to be a huge focus of mine in 2026. That also took longer. I wanted to have the person hired by early February. It was early March, and then we took time and batched it. But regardless, you cast the vision, you cast the dream, you state it. Like I stated it to the mastermind group, and I said, when I am back here with you guys in July, I will have an in-person headquarters. I will have been posting twice a day. My goal is to get my Instagram to a certain number. We'll see how that plays out. It's a big goal. We'll have to really crush the content, which I know we will. But I stated these things, and then I took the actions. And that's the combination, right? You have to have the vision and the dream and be clear on it. And then you have to state it like, I will do this. This will be done. And then you have to move it in motion. But one of the things I was talking about actually with my new content person, Haley, was, you also have to leave room for the unknown. And so I knew that I wanted the headquarters. I knew that I wanted to have a place, and I had the check boxes of what I wanted, but like where it exactly was, when it came into play, how it all, happened, I kind of let that go. I just knew the next steps. I knew the next steps of finding a place, looking at places, putting out options, getting quotes, whatever. And I knew my standards with it. So this is a reminder, like we're in quarter 2. Connect back to those. What's your vision for the year? I have this note stock in my phone, and it says 2026 reality creation instead of goals. I thought that was fun. Like, what's the reality I'm creating this year? And then I have categories. I have business, I have health, I have family, I have my training. I can't remember the exact categories, but I took my life, put it in categories, and then I have not a lot. I mean, I think the business has like 10, and one of them is content. One of them is the headquarters. Check, check. One of them is tickets to our live event, how many we want to sell each time. And I continually go back to that. It's like, here's the reality I said I'm going to create. And am I taking the actions to create that reality? And that's the combination you need to have mixed in with a little bit of surrender. And so I want to talk about that for a second, because I feel like in the last week, I've had so many little, my friend calls them God winks, where it's like just a reminder that the synchronicities and the things happening are not just random. And I'm going to give you a few examples. So I believe in life and in business, a lot of things can come without resistance. And it doesn't mean without work, but there can be this level of ease, which is very different than easy. And so let me give you this example. The content hire that I've been looking for, it took me longer to find because I'm picky, because I need somebody who has the experience I want, combined with lives in Austin, combined with similar values to me, because I need my content person to understand me, to be able to create content in my voice and as me. I have to like them a lot to be around them. We're going to spend a lot of time together in person, right? Like intimate time. If you've recorded content, you understand, like recording video in front of someone and being able to fully be yourself, it takes a certain person. So I have these checklists, and we would put job posts out and we'd post in Facebook groups, and we'd have some people, and it's just like no one was really like hitting the mark. And I ended up at my CrossFit gym just mentioning it. I actually put it on my stories, and someone at my CrossFit gym saw it and was like, I have a friend who that would be perfect for this. referred her to me, we connected, and then it's like her story is she just left this huge job, she was super burnt out, she took this huge risk, she went out on her own, she wants a client. So anyways, like the synchronicity of it, but the point being like it happened without any resistance or force. I was clear on the outcome that I wanted to create and the standard and the check boxes, but there wasn't force in the when or the how. And I trusted that it would fall into place exactly how it was supposed to. And it did in the easiest way. Like I got connected to her, we connected, and it was like, okay, here's the timing. Like it's been so easy and it's been incredible working with her. And already I think the results are going to be amazing. My point being, like, I think in business and life, when you are in those times where you feel a lot of force and you're either resisting something or you're trying to force something to happen on a certain timeline or a certain way you think it should be, it is such an invitation to pause and go, how do I remove the resistance? This is not to be confused with everything should be easy. And life is supposed to be easy and business is supposed to be easy and you don't have to work hard. Like I'm still working hard, right? I put in work, I put in time, I put in energy, and I work my butt off. But I don't ever let force or I don't resist things anymore. And I think that's the difference. The other cool thing I want to say about this is this. Another quick story. So 6 months ago now, I haven't fully shared this story and I'm not going to share the details of it, but it's worth sharing this. 6 months ago, I was, let's just say politely, asked to leave my gym that I had been at for 2.5 years because I had made the decision 6 months prior to that to hire a private coach and no longer take the classes at the gym, even though I paid for an open gym membership, and work with this coach, which then I started getting really good. And that was not in alignment with the gym owner and honestly seen as like a threat. So I was asked overnight suddenly to leave my gym, like wasn't allowed. And anyone who follows me knows like my gym is my second home. Like I go to the gym 10 to 12 hours a week. I had community there. I had friends there. It was a huge part of my routine. So to suddenly have that ripped away from me, as silly as it sounds, like, yeah, it's just a gym, I was really upset. And through that though, it has been such this lesson of like, it was the best thing that could have happened because it forced me in not the way I've been talking about, but it pushed me in a not gentle way. It pushed me in a no other option way to find a new gym. And I had told myself the story for a long time because it wasn't really the best environment and relationship at that point with the owner and I. I had told myself I didn't have another option. Like I told myself there is no other gym that's close by, and so you have to keep coming here and like basically being in kind of a toxic environment. I never would have left. And I would have continued to feel like I was walking on eggshells and to have this like just negative energy, right? Because I told myself the story, you have no other option. I told myself like, you can't drive downtown. Well, then I was given no other option. I spent like a day pretty much crying over it because I was so upset. It felt like a mix of like I was in trouble at school with middle school mean girls is what it felt like. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna use this as fuel. And within a day, I found the new gym. I joined, and I was super uncomfortable because it was a brand new community, a brand new gym. Like I didn't know where anything was. I didn't know anybody. I didn't want to have to change my routine, but I did it. And through that, I have had a much better environment. I've met a ton of people, but where I was going with this story is I never would have found this content person, Haley, had I not moved gyms, met the girl that I met at the gym, and then was referred to this person. So not only was that experience something that led me to a better environment that I wouldn't have chosen on my own, led me to a better environment, had me get over this, like I just have to drive farther. I have to drive 25 minutes to my gym from my house. And before it was 15. So what? It's 20 more minutes a day that I have to drive. But I get to come downtown Austin. Now my studio is downtown. I wouldn't have moved my studio downtown if I didn't have my gym down here too. Like all these things, right, have happened that just kind of were supposed to happen. And even just finding Haley, like I feel like has been this wink of like, see, you never know. You never know why something falls apart. You never know why something doesn't work out. You never know why it does. Like what is being orchestrated. And the more that you can trust that it is in your best interest and not resist the change, right? Not resist the pivoting, not resist having to shift things around, I guess the less that you suffer, right? Because it's going to happen anyways. And so that's been a really cool experience for me this week, as I've seen like a lot of these things kind of come to fruition, basically. I feel like the last month has been dreams and visions that I had for the year kind of coming to fruition, has been things falling into place and like clicking with my goals around the content, and then realizing like, oh, that is why that happened. That's one of the reasons. And, something that I was so upset about, I was so resistant to, I wanted to fight it, right? I wanted to be like, let me stay at the gym, and fight it. And I was mad and I was upset, and it was, a hard experience, but all through all of that, like then on the other side, you're like, this is so much better. I wish I did this a year ago. I wish I did this a long time ago, but I wouldn't have made the jump. And so when you look at your business and you look at like your life right now, where are the things that you're resisting change? Where are you telling yourself the story that it has to be this way? I think that's the danger. That's the lie. And I've done that, many times in my life where you state something like it's a fact, like, oh, it just has to be that way. Like that's the way it is. That's the way it's been. It has to be that way. And so therefore that's how it is. But there is not only discomfort, but there's like the resistance, there's the force, there's that just like not aligned energy. The gym that I was in was not aligned. So I was not supported with my goals. I was not supported in that environment beyond, of course, like friends and people in there, but by the leader of the gym. And I couldn't see, I could see it, but then I let myself be a victim to it, actually. That's the reality. I let myself be a victim to it, and I would get into states where I would complain or talk about how unfair it was and how poorly I was being treated, blah, 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 when I could have made a change. But it took the change being forced on me or given no other option to actually make the change. So where in your life, in your business, are you telling yourself, I'm misaligned with this, but there's no other option? It just has to be that way. And then can you challenge that? It's oftentimes hard. Like you have to get a different perspective. There's been many times that I've had mentors or friends where I've stated like, this is the way it is. It is going to be like this. It is going to be hard. I am stuck in this, whatever. And I've had friends go like, but are you? Like, are you? Let's play a different scenario. Let's play a different timeline. What if you're not? What would that look like? So that's been a lesson. That's been really cool to watch that kind of come into play. Another like so interesting one, this was a much smaller one this week, but I also want to share it, was so we've been doing a weekly webinar, and I woke up Tuesday morning and my team member texted me and said, is your webinar at 11 Eastern time today? Because it says that on the page and it says that in the emails, but it's in my calendar for your normal time, which is 12. And I was like, I was going to show up at 12. Like that's the time that we always do it. And she's like, no, the page and everything, like the funnel says 11. Can you show up at 11, like an hour earlier? Thank God my incredible team members saw this and caught it. But it was that same day that I was moving my podcast studio. And, maybe I would have been like, oh, that's annoying. Like there was a mistake. The time got put wrong in our funnel from my calendar. Nobody knew on the outside that the time was quote wrong, but my calendar, I was supposed to do it at this time. I was taking my kids to school and I'd have to like rush back, whatever. But I was like, okay, God, because I'm moving my podcast studio today and you just bought me an hour of time that I actually needed. And now I have this extra hour that I needed. And you just moved my entire day earlier. So I guess what I'm saying is like the last week has just been that for me, where, don't get me wrong, there has been really challenging things also thrown my way. Like we could do a whole other podcast on that. In the business, I've had some big curveballs that are coming with growing. We are growing, we are scaling, we have new offers that are crushing it. And there's a lot happening behind the scenes. And there have definitely been curveballs that have been something that could put me in a state of stress or overwhelm or wanting to resist and fight something. And I'm just continually handed the lesson of like, don't resist. Don't resist the change. Don't resist the something falling through or something not working out, or, or something being different than you were expecting, like the time of the webinar. Just like ride it while also taking action. Does that make sense? I think people get caught up in this like ride it and go with the flow, and they lose the taking action. I'm still taking actions. I'm still showing up. I'm still creating my reality. I'm still bringing my dreams to life. But when there is a curveball or resistance or something that doesn't work how I thought it should work, I'm riding it and I'm trusting it so much more. And the other day too, I had a really hard day in the business, just with some curveballs, like normal stuff. Things that were like, this is so frustrating. It's not working out how I want. People management is a whole thing. But even in that day, I was like, all right, like I'm surrendering to this. I trust that I'm going to know the next action. I'm going to regroup. And the next day I messaged my friend and I'm like, I'm going to have a great day today. I was stressed yesterday. I'm going to have a great day today. Why? Because I'm going to choose. I'm choosing for it to be a great day. Like the external stuff, the more you can make it not impact you, the better it is. And the more in momentum and aligned and empowered that you feel. It's when we let all that external, and then the stories that we create about the external, like my story with the gym, right? Like I allowed that to be toxic. I can only blame myself. I allowed myself to get wrapped up in the conversations of, I can't believe this, and can you believe this, and they did this, and I'm not being treated right, and this is so unfair, for too long. And that energy matters a lot. Like the conversations that you have and the energy that you allow yourself to be surrounded with like that, you have to get out of that. And I knew it. I'm like, I don't like who I am when I'm talking about this situation and like basically bitching about it. I don't like it. I needed to get myself out of the environment, but I never would have done it. So that's kind of my question to you this week. Two things, if we recap this. If you look at your year and what you kind of set out to at the beginning of the year, and you look at it as like, look at it as how I labeled it. What reality are you creating this year? When you look and you think about and you imagine the end of 2026, what do you want that reality to look like? How do you want the business to look? How do you want to be spending your time? How do you want to be showing up? What do you want to say that you've accomplished? What do you want to say? Like, yeah, I focused on that and I got myself here. What reality are you creating? And is your day-to-day and the allocation of your resources, time, energy, and money aligned with that reality or not? I can just do a check. You've got to combine saying, this is the reality I want to create, with action. That's directly in alignment with that. And we can so easily lose track of that when we get lost in the day-to-day grind and the day-to-day noise and the mundane like routine of life. And all of a sudden months have gone by and it's like we're not moving the things that we said are most important this year forward. Second thing to look at is, where in your life or your business are you telling yourself a story that's something that is misaligned, that's just the way it is? Where are you allowing yourself to be a victim to something external? Where are you giving your power? Like I was giving my power to this gym owner. I was allowing her to impact my internal state way too much. And that's on me. That is on me. That's a decision that I was making, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it and I couldn't pull myself out of it. And I'm so grateful that things were orchestrated otherwise to get me out of there, because that's what needed to happen, right? And I'm absolutely not saying this as shade for anyone. It's like everyone's got their own things. I was clearly being seen as a threat to that place, but it's fine. I have zero ill will at this point. I actually have gratitude, because it's like I'm so grateful that it happened the way that it did. But where are you giving away? It's that power, right? Because when you allow anything external, whether it's an environment, a person, a way that you're, living your life, anything external, where are you allowing that to have more impact than it should on the internal? And where are you telling yourself the story that that's just the way it is? And how can you take that power back? It comes from challenging that. Like I actually wish that when I would get into those conversations about the gym at the time that someone was like, well, why don't you just move gyms? And when I would say, well, because I don't want to drive downtown, they'd say like, well, why? Like, really, 20 more minutes a day of driving? Isn't that worth it to not be in this environment? You have to ask yourself those questions. You have to challenge the thinking that you have told yourself is a fact, because it's not. And I have done that many times where it's like, that's just the way it is. Is it though? Is it? Is there another reality? And I do this when I coach mastermind members. Often it's like, they will tell me, this is the way it is. This is the way my business has to run. This is the way it has to da-da-da. And I'm like, but is it? Like, let's take a step back. Let's just question that for a second. And is there another path? Is there another timeline that doesn't look like that? So those are the two things that I think would be helpful to sit with. And hopefully you enjoyed my updates. This was one of those episodes where, like, I don't know where this is going to go. I actually didn't sit down planning to tell you that story about the gym, but I just recorded a piece of social content for it. And I was like, I'm ready to talk about this, because I don't have any emotional charge anymore around it when it first happened. And that's not a time to like create content around something. But I put it together as I was talking, like, oh my gosh, my content person, Haley, I would not have had that not happened, had I not joined that gym, had I not met these people, and who knows what else is supposed to happen. And you know what's funny? I'm going to tell a quick story. When I joined that gym, the next day I went out to dinner with a friend and her kid, my kids. And she's not like a really good friend. So the fact that we were going out to dinner, it's like we don't do that very much. So the timing was interesting, right? So literally like the day after this happened. So it's very fresh. I'm very upset. I'm still processing. I go out to dinner and I tell her this story. And she says to me, this is crazy. But, it was like 7 years ago. She's like, 7 years ago, I was living in California and this situation happened. And I was also asked to leave a gym that I loved. And she's like, same thing. It was my life. Like, I had my gym, I had my coffee shop, I had my apartment. That was my routine. And she said, then I went to this other gym and it forced me to go to this new gym. And that's where I met my husband, who's now the father of my kid. And she's like, if I never would have left that gym, I never would have met him, And so it's like the lesson. And I'm like, this is so weird that I'm having dinner with someone who's not like a really good friend. Like, we've only had dinner like 2 times. The day after this happens, not many people get kicked out of a gym. She had the same story. And then the answer was how it like led to this. And I just thought to myself, there's something big happening. Like, I had that thought. I was like, there are relationships and things that are going to come from this that I will look back on and understand. And so I kind of also feel like there's more to come. It's fun when you think that way, right? Like, think about the things that have happened that you're like, I mean, in that state, there's no regrets. There's nothing bad that can happen because you never know what's going to come out of it. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so glad to be in the new studio. We're going to be making some more improvements. This is just like the little setup. I got a lot to do in here, but I'm excited for the process and to have it all come together. And I will talk to you guys next time.